break open your house one time, they rape your mother, they rape your father, they rape your brother, they rape your sister, they rape your auntie, they rape your auntie, they rob you of all your jewels, they take your car if you have a license firearm, they take your firearm, and they go on with that. And those that are supposed to vote for this bill, for the next year, you all are pleased and it's okay with that. What are they smoking? You cannot come and tell Saieed, well, hear this now. Saieed, mass mandatory, here we go. They come to an end. And then you come and tell me, here we go on side. If you go to the supermarket, the grocery, or the malls, you have to wear your mask. Saieed, if you go to a pharmacy, you have to wear your mask. Saieed, if you're traveling, you have to wear your mask. If you're in the transportation hub, you have to wear your mask. If you're going to church side, you have to wear your mask. If you're in the school side, you're wearing your mask. If you go to a barber salon, you go to the theater, you're wearing your mask. Which dum-dum in Trinidad and Tobago will go in a theater and buy a popcorn and a juice and sit down and wear a mask? Dance! If every councillor go through their constituency, do video clips like this and send it for us, I'm gonna be so happy just to play it on our program on a Wednesday night. You know why I would be happy? I will be filled with joy in my heart. You know why? Because the councillor is getting off their butts and they are actually going and doing some live video shoots. Real Talk took the initiative to find out suppliers of wheat in the world that National Flour Mill could go to. So now Romano is saying the company is not going to raise any price in the near future. Why? Why? Is it because the S-boss and they realize now that, hey, it is in the public domain that we could go right Mexico and buy flour and wheat? We could go right China and buy wheat? I am about change. And thus far, Real Talk is very effective in Trinidad and Tobago, coming towards making changes for the citizens. Public Utility Minister Marvin Gonzalez have urged the population to appreciate and be grateful for the availability of the utilities. This, as Gonzalez recalled, time in his life when he had to fetch water using a bucket from a nearby river. Gonzalez, I want you to understand something. I want you, Mr. Gonzalez, to understand something. You are being paid thousands of dollars by public utility, by the finance ministry, to govern WASA. Come on. To govern WASA, I want you to understand that you ain't going in no office for no free code. You are being paid. Do not tell me that I, Saieed, have to be grateful for the water I get it. Let me tell you something, Gonzalez. Every 4 months, I have to pay $400 and I get water once a bloody month. So don't come on a media briefing and say, Saieed, you have to be contented. You have to be happy. Marvin, the next best thing for you to do is to resign and get the hell out of here. and gentlemen, welcome to Real Talk with Saieed Ali. I am your host, Saeed. We do want to thank you for joining us tonight, viewers. It's Tune It Up Tuesday. Call your friends, call your family, let them know Real Talk with Saieed Ali is going live on Synergy Network. Now, viewers, there is a rerun of this program the next day from 11:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Remember that. So now, Real Talk Credit Union Information, viewers, has opened its doors to the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. So remember, we are giving you the opportunity to open a savings account for your child, your kid. Remember that. Now, if you go to a commercial bank in Trinidad, you cannot do that. You cannot do that. You are barred from doing that. Why? Because they are not 18 or over. But at Real Talk Credit Union Information, you have the opportunity of doing that. Remember also, Real Talk is giving you 4% on fixed deposit. It is the highest interest rate that is being paid in Trinidad and Tobago. Nowhere else in this country you're going to get that. Nowhere else. So remember that, viewers. So as we start off our program tonight, Digicel, price increase. Flow, price increase. On the very day that Flow customer faced its first day with increased charges from their provider, Digicel announced that in 1 month, their subscribers would also face increase. In a notice to customer on Monday, the company confirmed that rates for most of its customers would be going up, but all affected subscribers will receive increased speed of up to 200 megabytes per second. The company said, like every company across the globe, they are dealing with the impact of substantial increase in the cost of doing business. The company said, not to mention here in TNT, internet usage has doubled when compared to pre-pandemic level, and the cost of international television contents continue to rise, further driving up operational cost. Digicel acknowledged it had suffered a major outage recently and raised their rates twice in the last 12 months. So for the last 12 months, twice, Digicel acknowledged that they raised their price. While its increase last year was based on the same reason, Digicel February adjustments was related to one specific plan. Imagine that. Imagine that. An increase in internet. And you all haven't even received your light bill as yet? Was there an increase in your light bill? We're going to wait and see. I am already paying more. I keep telling you all that. I keep telling you all that. So with the increase now, how many of you in Trinidad will continue with your internet package? We are facing it. We are facing it. Price increases. Price increases. So we're moving on to the lotto operators now. The National Lottery Control Board and the judiciary have finally signed off on a formalized payment of court fines like maintenance, mask fine, and traffic ticket at NLCB booths. However, Online Gaming Agent Association of Trinidad and Tobago President Dean Passad believed that the new system isn't worth the hustle for lotto booth agents. According to a release from the judiciary, court pay vouchers will now be available at NLCB booths to facilitate maintenance payment and fines. It comes following the months-long meeting and tests between the two agencies to ensure the system worked. The public can purchase a voucher, then go online to courtpay.ttlawcourts.org to complete the transaction. The judiciary states that anyone without internet can complete the transaction at the judiciary public. The judiciaries stopped the in-person payments of fine at magistrate courts to avoid close interaction, and resulting in a backlog of over $27 million in outstanding public health mask fines. In a release now, however, Prasad argued that the new system will create more hassle for lotto agents. He added that he wanted more consultation with the new court pay issue before it was implemented. If there's a break, Trinidad and Tobago, if for some reason there's a break in the lotto payment system, what is going to happen? What is going to happen? Recently, someone paid maintenance via credit card. They made payment via credit card to the same court pay system online. And it was not picked up. It was not picked up. And the individual, they made a good few payments. It was not picked up. When they did pick up, his payment, let me tell you something. Because of the fact that the system was down, the court pay system, because of the fact that it was down, and they had problems troubleshooting, the individual had to pay $5,000 at once. The mistake came from the court pay side because they were not picking up his payments. They were not. So with that now, payments not being picked up, the court pay side were not picking up his payment, there's an additional now that he has to pay at all in one. So hence the reason why I say now, if there's a break in the system, what is going to happen? Because a guy contacted me concerning the same thing. He paid via credit card to the court pay online. Online, the transaction took place and they couldn't pick it up. Numerous times he went in to try and sort out the problem, and it couldn't. It couldn't. When they did rectify the problem, he ended up with a backlog. That took place. So what are we going to do now? Are we going to trust the system? Are we going to trust it? What's going to happen with fathers who work hard and pay their money, and then now there are some women who have no other choice but to take out warrants? What is going to happen with that now? Because I have dealt with a lot of cases that court pay. They didn't function as they had to. So stopping the magistrate, the courts, from receiving cash. I'm going to tell you something. That was one of the most ridiculous things they could have done. We are relying on technology to make court payments for maintenance. Why not go into the courthouse? Where it would be easier. You have made it very difficult for a lot of individuals in Trinidad. This system, with a breakdown, let me tell you something, it's chaos in Trinidad. I am telling you that because I am dealing with people right now who are having problems. Backlog, their names not showing up, their payments not showing up. It's sad, you know. It's really, really sad. Imagine you working hard. Every week you're making your payments. And when you go to the court now to make a next payment, you realize now, well, hey, you know, you haven't made payment for the last 2 months or so. Wow. That's a matter for you to talk about. So no wonder now, Mr. Prasad coming out and saying now that it will be more difficult. I'm sure some customers probably complained about the court pay system. Sad, it's sad, it's sad. It's sad. Naparima MP Rodney Charles has questioned Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley to tell the House his reason for disagreeing with the opposition recommendation to separate the Minister of National Security into 2 portfolios. Minister of Home Affairs and Minister of Defense. However, the PM said, it did not make sense, as Charles saw news from the United States where the country had a department dealing with home security and national defense. So viewers, we are going for a short commercial break, but when we come back, you're going to see more right here on Real Talk with Saieed Ali.
Tired of wasting precious time at the bank applying for a loan, only to be denied? We understand your frustration. Here at Realtalk Group of Companies, we take a different approach. Contact Saieed, Managing Director of Realtalk Group of Companies and licensed moneylender at 238-6716, 242-7690 or 339-1670. Feel free to visit our office at number 14 Carney Savannah Road, Chaguanas, or number 132 Superior Road, Victoria Village, San Fernando.
Realtalk Credit Union information stores are now open to members of the public. We are located at the Realtalk Group of Companies building at number 14 Carney Savannah Main Road. Opening hours are from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Contact us via telephone at 238-6716 or 231-6219 to book your appointment. You can also stay connected with us via Facebook. Do you have a public concern you would like to highlight? You can email your pictures and videos to realpublicconcerns@gmail.com, and we will highlight your concerns on our show for Public Concerns Wednesday.
Real Talk viewers. So, we have a little bacchanal with MP Charles and the Prime Minister and the Minister of National Security. So here is Trinidad and Tobago. 2386716 is the phone number to call in. And on top of that, remember, Real Talk is giving you 4% on our fixed deposit. Remember that, viewers. The most important thing to remember is 4% on a fixed deposit. So Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Rowley stated that the United States has 340 million people and a number of enemies, which required a Department of Defense. He noted that TNT is in no such position, and to have a Minister of Defense or a Ministry of Defense and a Homeland Security is a copycat nonsense. Listen to this.
That's very simple. It doesn't make sense. Madam Speaker, because the member has seen that on the American news that they have a Homeland Security and a defense, I simply want to draw to the attention of the member from Aparima, who I suspect has a hand in this, that the United States has 340 million people and a number of enemies which require a Department of Defense. Trinidad and Tobago is in no such position, and therefore to talk about our problem in solving crime is to have a Ministry of Defense and a Homeland Security. It's copycat, gobbledygook nonsense.
Member for Naparima.
Prime Minister, you're wrong. I didn't get it from the United States, but from...
Where about it from?
Member for Naparima, these are questions. This is not about rebuttal, and that's for the debate. So I'll ask you to use your time very wisely, 15 seconds, and ask a question.
Speak again on bad in Trinidad and Tobago. So after that little bacchanal now, Charles questioned the PM if he was satisfied with the performance of Minister of National Security Fitzgerald Hines, seeing that institutions are collapsing under his watch. Dr. Rowley replied, the government was quite happy to know that the opposition sees everything in TNT as collapsing. But the Ministry of National Security, it collapsed. It collapsed. Let me tell you something. Things so bad with the ministry now, they choose somebody. They choose a commissioner with no expertise. That is how bad the thing gets in the Ministry of National Security. So here it is. The PM stated that he was satisfied with his minister, and in the event that he was not appropriate, action will be taken. Listen to this.
Is the Prime Minister satisfied with the performance of the Minister of National Security, given all these institutions that are collapsing under his watch?
Madam Speaker, the government is quite happy to know that the opposition has a fetish, and the opposition sees everything in Trinidad and Tobago as collapsing. No such thing is happening, and Madam Speaker, they have failed to bring about the collapse of Trinidad and Tobago, and therefore I can tell the country I'm satisfied with the cabinet, I'm satisfied with the ministers, and in the event that I am not, you will see the appropriate action taken.
So Trinidad and Tobago, it's Tune It Up Tuesday right here on Real Talk with Saieed Ali. So what I want to hear from you now as a citizen or as a concerned citizen, are you satisfied with the performance of the Minister of National Security in the way he is doing his job to protect and secure our citizens? That is your question for tonight. 2386716. When you're calling in, make it short and sweet. When you tell yourself that was a bacchanal, we have a call? Before I go to this bacchanal, let me take this call. Caller, good night.
Good night, good night. This is one of your favorite callers, the imitation vaccine vegan.
Talk to me.
And I'm going to use the same phrase that the Prime Minister has used with respect to his response. Hogwash, hogwash, hogwash. If they continue with Minister of National Security, they will meet the objective of the former COP Jacob. We will not be number 6 again. We'll be number 4 shortly, and then we'll be number 1. The fact is, America is not on that list. I think they're very, very low because they have horses for courses. Who we have in the Ministry of National Security? We don't have a horse, we have another animal. But what I want to talk about is paisa. We're going after Mr. Kwaitong, a former PNM finance minister, and a fellow by the name of Ferguson. I want to find out if our government has gotten the 100 million judgment made 2 years ago on a former PNM treasurer, Mr. Montai, and his associate trustman. I ain't hear nothing. I know the man had to pay. So I want to know if he filed an appeal and the government lose the file, or they put in them affidavits and things, so they throw out the case. Man, stay with the money, taxpayers lose the money. So if we collected all money from ex-PNM people, we want to know what happened to that Montai and trustman issue. I'm going to have a nice night.
Thank you, my friend. Here is Bacchanal. Prime Minister Dr. Saieed Ali have stated that Petrotron Refinery was never offered to the government of Guyana and referred to a question raised by Point-A-Pay MP David Lee as mischief. Dr. Ali stated that no refinery was offered to the government of Guyana, and the interpretation by the opposition is only to put the worst inflictions on circumstances in the hope that it will hurt the interests of the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. So listen to this, viewers, step by step we're going to carry you through this.
I have nothing to answer in the context of this mischief by my colleague from Point-A-Pay, except to say that no refinery was offered to the government of Guyana, so there can be no question about the government of Guyana and any non-acceptance. That interpretation, Madam Speaker, is the consistent approach by our colleagues here to put the worst complexion on our circumstances in the hope that it will hurt the interests of the people of Trinidad and Tobago.
That in a conference he announced that the TNT did have a refinery in which the government does not have any oil to operate, and it is available to persons or agents who might be interested. Listen to this.
Madam Speaker, what I did as the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, feature speaker at that conference, speaking to a room full, hundreds of people engaged in the hydrocarbon business in all areas, I did say to the gathering, to the world, that we did have a refinery which the government does not have any oil to operate, and the refinery is available to any person or agent who might be in a position to be interested. To say, Madam Speaker, that then the refinery was offered to Guyana and Guyana didn't accept it is the mischief of my colleague from Point-A-Pay.
For the refinery going forward, Dr. Ali added that he was crystal clear on his statement and stated that David Lee deliberately misrepresenting the situation. Listen to this.
Prime Minister, based on what you just clarified, could you then state what is the government's intention for the refinery going forward?
Not clarify anything. It was crystal clear what I did, and it is crystal clear what you have done and what you are doing. Anybody who followed that conference would have seen what I said, would understand what I have said. I spoke to any person who is interested. And my colleague is deliberately misrepresenting this situation. And with respect to what I have to say about the refinery, the future of the refinery, I said it 1,000 times. And it requires no further repetition.
So Trinidad and Tobago questions. Further, if there had been any feedback, Dr. Rowley said it would be announced in due course. So here it is now. According to reports in February 2023, Guyana's Natural Resource Minister Vikram Barra stated that the PM was looking to collaborate with Guyana, but the refinery did not fit into his country plans for development as Guyana was seeking to build its own refinery. Listen to this.
Prime Minister is looking to collaborate with us, so he was just exploring opportunities in which we can collaborate. I know he spoke of the refinery, but I'm sure you're aware that we had a request for proposal out for the design, finance, and building of a refinery. We have, I think it's, if I'm correct, nine submissions, which is currently being evaluated. So we're looking to build our own refinery in country. Besides the refinery in Trinidad, I think it's 150,000 barrels. We're doing 30,000 barrels, which is adequate for us because our local consumption here is half of that, I believe.
Well, I hear that. Call her good night.
Saeed President, good night.
Go right ahead, my darling.
Saeed, this Prime Minister and this National Security Minister refusing to accept help to curb the pandemic we have in this country. This is not COVID, this is worse than COVID. This is a murdering pandemic. And these two people can't do anything. And they're going to feel so embarrassed because if Gary come on board, he is going to get this crime under control in a matter of weeks. I ain't even giving him months. You know why? Because he started it and they did not allow him to finish because of personal differences.
Yes.
This has nothing to do with politics. This is personal with that man we have running this country, who you can't tell nothing. As an opposition minister decides to say something is stupidness, is foolishness, everything. He know it all because he's a knower. And that next one, who just practicing he law, he don't care about nobody, he getting his second salary, right? Talking about he a racist. When he spoke at the African thing that us have here, when they call on him to speak, his speech was only one ethnic group was applying for land to do gardening. So stop watching the public and the reporters in the face and trying to embarrass them. Or they're too disrespectful. Or they're not doing nothing for this country. Citizens being murdered. Oh, imagine the Chinese man Saeed running his business. He not living off the government.
Correct.
He ain't getting no disability. He ain't getting no pension. These people just running, murdering you, and they're getting away. When they hold them, they're getting bail and they're coming out. What is the purpose of this government? They're not serving a purpose, and they don't want to accept help from a wise man, because them they ain't wise at all. And it will even make the commissioner of police look bad too if they police Gary. Thank you, Saeed, again for the opportunity. Good.
Thank you, my dear. Minister of National Security Fitzgerald Hines have stated that TTPS has received 42 applications to date for pepper spray permits, which are currently being processed by the Trinidad and Tobago Police Firearm Permit Unit. He gave the information while replying to opposition queries on when pepper spray will be available to the public since the Firearm Amendment Act 2021 had been passed since July 6, 2021. Listen to this.
Furthermore, the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service has also rolled out the subsequent phase of the process, whereby citizens are permitted to apply for, keep and carry permits for pepper spray via the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service's website. To date, the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service has already received 42 applications for pepper spray permits, which are currently being processed by the Firearms Permit Unit.
Hines said, the enforcement of the Act, which allows for licensed importation and use of pepper spray by members of the public, is being implemented on a phased basis by the TDPS, Custom and Excise Division, and the TNT Bureau of Standards. He stated that in December 2022, TDPS launched its first phase of the process, which include the issue of pepper spray import permit, whereby 9 pepper spray import permits have been granted to date. Hines said, of the 9 permits granted, 2 importers have already imported pepper spray canister into TNT and are currently awaiting clearance to ensure they met all necessary requirements for the sale within TNT. Listen to this.
Madam Speaker, the operationalization of the Firearms Amendment Act 2021, which allows for the licensed importation and use of pepper spray by members of the public, is being implemented on a phased basis by the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service in collaboration with the Customs and Excise Division of the Ministry of Finance and the Trinidad and Tobago Bureau of Standards. In December 2022, the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service launched the first phase of the process, which included the issue of pepper spray import permits, whereby 9 pepper spray import permits have been granted to date. Of the 9 permits granted, 2 importers have already imported pepper spray canisters into the country, which are currently awaiting clearance from the Trinidad and Tobago Bureau of Standards to ensure that they meet all the necessary requirements for sale within Trinidad and Tobago.
So viewers, we are going for a short commercial break, but when we come back, we're going to talk about Stuart Young talks in final stages of deep water bid rounds after this.
Tired of wasting precious time at the bank applying for a loan, only to be denied? We understand your frustration. Here at Realtalk Group of Companies, we take a different approach. Contact Saieed, Managing Director of Realtalk Group of Companies and licensed moneylender at 238-6716, 242-7690 or 339-1670. Feel free to visit our office at number 14 Carney Savannah Road, Chaguanas, or number 132 Superior Road, Victoria Village, San Fernando.
Realtalk Credit Union information stores are now open to members of the public. We are located at the Realtalk Group of Companies building at number 14 Crony Savannah Main Road. Opening hours are from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Contact us via telephone at 238-6716 or 231-6219 to book your appointment. You can also stay connected with us via Facebook. Do you have a public concern you would like to highlight? You can email your pictures and videos to realpublicconcerns@gmail.com, and we will highlight your concerns on our show for Public Concerns Wednesday.
Welcome back to Real Talk, viewers. Now, Minister Stuart Young have stated that delays in negotiation over the country's deep water bid rounds were due. Let me tell you something. It was due to changing market conditions and technical factor. Responding to questions by Point-a-Pay MP David Lee, Stewart stated that on June 2nd, 2022, the closing of bids for the 2021-2022, his ministry received bids from consortium of BP, EOG, and a BG for 4 deepwater blocks. The minister added that the negotiations are in final stages and the report is expected to be submitted for the consideration of cabinet and announced. I'll listen to this man and then we will go further.
Following the evaluation of the bids, an interministerial team was appointed by the cabinet to negotiate with the bidders acceptable terms for the award of production sharing contracts on the 4 blocks. It was projected that the evaluation of the bids would be completed within 3 months. However, the technical and commercial considerations associated with deep water exploration and development have led to lengthy negotiations. On one hand, improved viability of deep water and tightening supply-demand gaps are driving the market. This is balanced by volatile crude oil prices, instability in the oil and gas industry, and higher challenges in developing deep water prospects. It is in this scenario that the parties are seeking to arrive at equitable terms that will accrue to the mutual benefit of the people of Trinidad and Tobago as a resource holder and the bidders as key stakeholders and investors in Trinidad and Tobago's deep water province. The negotiations are in the final stages, and the report and recommendations of the interministerial team are expected to be submitted shortly for the consideration of the cabinet, following which an appropriate announcement will be made on the outcome of these negotiations.
Are we the resource holders? Ask yourself that. Caller, good night.
Good night, Mr. Saeed. Great program as usual.
Thank you, my friend.
Mr. Saeed, dictators throughout the world, if you go against them, they will assassinate you. In this country, this notorious dictator we have run in this country, if you go against him, he will politically kill you. He said that. So nobody can go against you. You have to carry out his philosophy and policy. Good. Hello?
Go right ahead.
Yes, Mr. Saeed. Now, the pundit that everybody is condemning today, I know you're a sensible, you're a fair person, and everybody condemning the pundit. The pundit made no racist statement. The pundit presented the facts of an issue that is affecting a group of people in this country. I want this Hines and Rowley to prove the nation wrong, produce the statistics only for the Easter weekend. Not for the rest of the year gone, only Easter weekend. Who are the people who was robbed? Who are the people victim of home invasion? Who are the persons victim of crime? Oh, and present that and who committed the crime against them. The evidence is there to show discrimination in this country. Tell the nation how many East Indians get NHA houses. Tell the nation how many East Indians in the defense force. That's a state agency paid, the salary paid by the state 1%. As we talk about it, racist and racial tension in the country, but the evidence is there, citizens of the country, open your eye. We love our African brothers and sisters. We learn to live and get along with you all, but these politicians and them, they must make you all understand this. Don't come and say people making racist statements. The police service, a few Indians retired recently, now 5% Indians in the police service. So to my African brothers and sisters, our problem in this country is not the Indian or the Chinese, it's the PNM. We must get rid of them once and for all. Thank you very much, Mr. Saeed. You keep up your great work.
Thank you, my friend. So Trinidad and Tobago, let's listen to this, Lee questioned if Naikwan plant at Pointe-à-Pierre was operational, whether the company was paying tax, and how much natural gas was purchased. Young stated that Naikwan plant is operational and has produced products for commercial sale. Listen carefully, for commercial sale. However, he said the plant is currently down for works intended to improve the plant. He said Naikwan paid no tax for April 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022, as it generated no revenue during the period since it was down for 1 year from April 2021 and recommenced on operation in May 28, 2022. Listen to this.
Naikwan's plant is operational and has produced product for commercial sale. The company has transferred on-spec products to the storage tanks of Paria Fuel Trading Company Limited, Naikwan's off-taker, to make up a cargo for sale by Paria on the international market. The Naikwan plant is currently down for works intended to improve plant performance and is expected to be up towards the end of the month, as they also work towards a gas supply. Naikwan has paid no taxes for the period April 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022, as the company generated no revenue during that period. The company is currently building up a cargo for sale by Paria on the international market. The Naikwan plant was down for 1 year from April 2021 and recommenced operations on May 28, 2022. Gas purchases during the period May 2022 to February 2023 varied between 129.04 mm scuffs per month to 631.4 mmcf per month.
So Trinidad and Tobago, they wasn't working, they paid no tax. Okay. We in Trinidad here, we're not getting water as we're supposed to. Some areas not getting water for weeks and months and years, but have to pay a water rate. Any maths adding there? You tell me. Young also noted that the government continued to be in active negotiation with the government of Venezuela on the development of the Dragon gas field. Stuart Young.
The members of the Venezuelan government who were present at the recent negotiations that I attended along with a Trinidad and Tobago delegation included Mr. Pedro Rafael Telechia, who at the time was the president of PDVSA, Mr. Juan Santana, the president of PDVSA Gas, and Ms. Annabel Rivas, the legal advisor to PDVSA. Madam Speaker, contrary to the narrative that is being attempted right now, the government of Trinidad and Tobago continues to be in very active negotiations and discussions with both the government of Venezuela as well as PDVSA with respect to the Dragon gas production.
Now, viewers, he further maintained that there is no natural gas crisis and has labeled such reports unfortunate. He said there is no shortage of LPG and no shutdown of any plant that supplies LPG. Listen to this.
So to answer the question, as has already been put forward to the population, there has been no shutdown of the one plant in Trinidad and Tobago that produces what is commonly known as LPG, which is cooking gas. This plant is Phoenix Park Gas Processors Limited. And in a release dated the 23rd of April, PPGPL, as they are known, stated very clearly, currently PPGPL's processing units have been taken offline for routine maintenance works that have been in planning for over 1 year. In other words, PPGPL, in keeping with what is proper industry standards, a year ago had planned to take down their plant in order to do maintenance, which is a necessary component of effectively operating any such plant. PPGPL and NP continue to maintain adequate LPG inventory, and as such, there is no LPG shortage in Trinidad and Tobago.
Caller, good night.
Right, good night, Saieed.
Go right ahead.
Sir, how much more boldface can this government get, sir? We are in crisis, all how crime, infrastructural, all how. And this government can see it fit to hold a family there, sir. He has his family with him, and all those PNM supporters have their family intact. There are many people who are grieving and crying tonight because them don't have their family. Their family has been slaughtered. For example, what about this pharmacy in Sourfields and Portion? What about this family in Charlo Village? You know, they say the three male members,
yes,
you know, take out and kill execution style. What about these people that have to leave their home and run? What about these families that are going away, who don't have their family with them? And the PNM could see it fit to have family there, sir. He has his family, and I'm so sure that there are some of the perpetrators who had slaughtered those families in the PNM family there, sir. And how is it happening again? The police commissioner is holding a tea party. And people having crisis, or the family does not have tea to drink, but they are holding tea parties, sir. How much bold and brazen this government could be, sir? They are heartless, sir. What about this family and them that are drunk? What about this family has drunk? How much is the taxpayers they are holding this sports day? You remember when Carla and them had something, the very PNM is choking and all them come out and say, how much they pay for roti? Our humble food roti, sir. How much more can we take? Anyhow, by the way, Senior Counsel Israel can phrase this whole thing differently. And I appreciate the way he puts it too, but let us call a spade a spade. He says that the victims of this home invasion and crime are Indians, and the perpetrators of the crime are Africans. Does it make it any lesser? Does it make it any less? Now, this what I'm saying again. If what this man is saying, Rowley, if the government cannot solve the crime, then they are part of the crime. It is crystal clear. It is crystal clear that the government is part of the crime. They are having a party and a family there with the perpetrators of these crimes. It is time for them. What we need is a vibrant opposition. Whatever happened with this Vincent Nelson, where are we spending how much million, 100 million or whatever to have the man to nail some opposition people? You know, where is all this? What kind of justice do we have in this place, sir? What kind of justice we have? The people must stand up and do whatever needs to be done to get this government, because when Rodney Charles told him that the government was collapsing, he said, no, nothing is collapsing. Look at fire truck. You go to the fire station. You don't have fire tenders. They cannot repair it. All the trucks are done. Where are you? They're coming to ask nearly $4 billion again into the budget. Where is our money going? So look at our infrastructure. Look at our, you know what you were saying just now, sir, about people not getting water for months? It is only in the opposition areas, sir. Is Beacon, Lavendale and all these places without water? No, they're getting 24 hours. All the PNM, Ahmadi City cannot solve flood problem. What about Greenvale? Did Greenvale ever have flood from them? They know what to do, but they are only good for their supporters. This government could care less. And there is a saying, a dictator would watch his country burn to ashes and rule over the ashes. Sir. It is time for this man to go. This man is evil. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you, my friend. Minister of National Security Fitzgerald Hines have stated that he was within his constitutional right to check on the condition under which High Court Judge Justice Frank Sipasad visited death row at the Port of Spain prison. So that becomes his business now. Sipasad's visit was in relation to an inmate seeking civil damage for being kept on death row after the permissible period of his execution had lapsed. Remember, murderers getting bail now. Keep that in mind. So I wonder if there's a concern now for the Minister of National Security. You ain't care if murderers getting bail. I want you to understand this, you know. Fitzgerald Hines ain't business if murderers getting bail. But he business with Justice Frank Sipasad visiting the prison. So it is okay for a murderer to get bail, but it is a problem if Frank Sipasad visited the prison. Hines said on March 29th, Ramuta received a request from the registry and marshal of the Supreme Court for Sipasad's intention and intended to visit the prison on April 20th. The minister stated that the order made no mention of damage to be assessed, and the commissioner was unclear as to the purpose of the judge's visit, but he proceeded to make the necessary provision. He said Ramuta told him that the intended visit and to those accompanying him as Minister of National Security, he asked the commissioner to determine the reason for the visit. Look at this.
Given that the order had made no mention of damages to be assessed, and hearing of the intended accompaniment of the media, the commissioner was unclear as to the purpose of the judge's visit. However, he proceeded to make the necessary provisions. As required, the Commissioner of Prisons informed the Minister of National Security of the intended visit of the learned judge and of the persons who were to accompany the judge. As Minister of National Security, with the responsibility for the prison service, I requested that the Commissioner of Prisons ascertain the reason for the visit, given that the order had made no mention of damages or damages to be assessed.
Hines reminded the Parliament that the prison service is an arm of the criminal justice system and a division of the Ministry of National Security, and it was within his authority to ascertain the nature of the visit, since a journalist was to be a member of the intended entourage. Listen to this.
As a consequence of the subsequent publicly expressed disquiet in relation to this series of events, I wish to remind this Parliament that the Trinidad and Tobago Prison Service is an arm of the criminal justice system and a division of the Ministry of National Security. As such, it is well within my authority and purview as the Minister with the responsibility for national security to ascertain the nature of the visit, and particularly so since a journalist who was named was to be a member of the intended entourage.
I just watched these people make their statement on platforms and laugh at them. Caller, good night.
Good evening, Mr. Sai.
No, right ahead, my friend.
Sai, the country already living in a nightmare. You putting up this man face so late in the evening for people to look at it before they go to bed. You people don't sleep at all now. Sai, you see when you put square pegs in wrong hole?
That's a problem.
You see Stuart Young? You see them people who they was addressing Sunday and was clapping for everything and they don't know what they was clapping about? Stuart Young demonstrate totally that he's an incompetent person for that job that he is in. Now, when you operate in a plant and you are scheduled for routine maintenance, if you don't comply with the national standards for maintenance of your plant and thing, and a day go by and something happens on that plant, you lose all the insurance that was protecting your plant. It comes like you have a car and the insurance gone and you're driving the car and you kill somebody. That is what he did. So this notice is what he's talking about, that they were planning a maintenance for a year now and they have to do it now because, you know, it's routine industrial standard. Like total notice he's talking. So you can talk that stupidness with people who don't know what's going on. If, according to the API, American Petroleum Industry Standard, once you are deemed to do routine maintenance work on your plant, and that time expires, your insurance that covers your plant expires also. So what you can be planning a routine maintenance program for your plant a whole year now and then decide. 5 years now, this country needed over 2 trillion cubic feet of gas to supply their suppliers all in Point Lisa Sante. And none of the producers had any success in any new gas find in Trinidad and Tobago. That's the problem that we are facing. Trinidad is starving for gas. There's no gas. This 2 billion cubic feet of gas that they produce in Shell and BP and thing isn't even a puff in the air to supply the demands of what we need in this country to operate on. So all we're talking about, if that dragon deal don't go through, Trinidad, you could say, done. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Have a good night, Mr. Saieed. Take care.
Thank you, my friend. So viewers, we have about 1 minute or less in our program tonight. But I do thank you for joining us tonight, viewers. Tune It Up Tuesday. Remember, Real Talk is offering you 4% on fixed deposit. Real Talk Credit Union is allowing you to open new accounts for your kids. Remember that. We are located at number 14 Carolina Savannah Road in Shogunas. So viewers, there's a rerun of this program tomorrow from 11:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. And we'll be right back here on Wednesday night for what? Public Concerns Night. So until we meet again, good night.